Get up to rock, get up to burn, stand with the pride, ever feel your desire. Grasp the truth, hold it high, trust the fears, that's how you're supposed to use it. Don't be afraid to look yourself in the eye. Big blast on you, that's my heartbeat in you.
Tanjiro Kamado stumbles upon his entire family lying dead in pools of their own blood after they were mauled to death by man-eating demons. Only one of his siblings survived, though even he can't have that, as she's been turned also into a demon, the same kind that killed her family. With nothing left, with nothing to call his own, he marches forward, vowing to return his sister to normal. Demon Slayer has one of the best starts in all of anime and manga, because of how well it paints the world Tanjiro has been thrown into as brutal and unforgiving, how quickly his happy life was uprooted for reasons far beyond his control. He has to forge the path ahead all alone, and he knows that it won't be easy. Luckily for Tanjiro, he has an unshakable spirit, a spirit so optimistic that he's willing to drudge through all of the pain selflessly. He puts on a smile to help others and make sure that they won't ever have to suffer the same fate as him. This not only makes him an amazing person, but an amazing fighter as well, so much so that he rarely recognizes his own talents. He's extremely similar to the author of Demon Slayer, Gotouge Koyoharu. On April 20th, 2015, Gotouge Koyoharu published the third one-shot, Haeniwa no Zigzag, in Shonen Jump weekly magazine, hoping that it would be picked up by Shonen Jump to be published as a regular series. Unfortunately, this didn't happen, as the one-shot failed to gain any popularity or do anything to make readers want more. It sucks to have all of your hard work just flushed down the toilet since you don't really know what to do. Luckily, Gotouge had their editor, Tatsuhiko Katayama, who suggested that they write a simpler series with a more understandable theme. Borrowing some elements from an earlier one-shot by Gotouge, some inspiration from other famous Jump series like Bleach, Naruto, Gintama, and Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, no, I'm not joking about that last one, birthing the series that we know and love today, Demon Slayer. One of the things that I find super interesting about Gotouge is that they don't really seem to realize just how talented they are as a mangaka. In an interview with Tatsuhiko Katayama, the editor, he said that the hardest part of helping bring Demon Slayer to life was reassuring Gotouge. When planning out chapters, Gotouge would often present ideas that Katayama thought were ingenious, but Gotouge didn't ever really seem to realize. Iconic scenes like Tanjiro showing compassion for the spider demon after its death was originally on the chopping block because Gotouge felt that it wasn't all that special, not realizing just how amazing of a moment it is. Gotouge is also known to be a bit of a workaholic according to Katayama, so much so that they often have a hard time keeping up with themselves. That's probably because they are so dedicated to their story that they've poured so much of their passion into. Reading this interview gave me a whole new perspective of Tanjiro as a character, because he's kind of a self-insert when you think about it. Tanjiro always strives extremely hard to achieve his goals with 101% effort. He doesn't ever stop, even when injured, he still puts up a valiant fight. The thing that really sold me though is that Tanjiro doesn't ever recognize his own strength. In a world of characters who have nothing better to do than show off 24/7, Tanjiro's humility makes him stand out among them as a genuinely good person. He has every excuse to hate the world that has been nothing but cruel and hurtful to him, to just throw in the towel and call it a day. But he won't though, because his resilience won't let him. Tanjiro's resilience to not only keep trying, but to be kind to those around him, to push people to become better and help them through their own trauma. Even the demons that killed Tanjiro's family are no exception, as Tanjiro still finds it in his heart to forgive them. Sure, this is a trope that has been done hundreds of times by now, but just because it's a trope doesn't mean it can't be done masterfully. Though Tanjiro on his own doesn't make Demon Slayer amazing, it's the characters surrounding him that give the show its legs, namely the 9 Hashira. Meeting the Hashira for the first time is something that I'll never forget, because of how they just immediately make the world feel so much bigger. Not only do they show Tanjiro just how far he has to climb before even hoping to become the strongest, but you can tell by their over-exaggerated designs that they are all very different from one another. They've all come from different places and backgrounds that have made them who they are today. Why does this dude have a snake? Why is this girl so creepy? Why does this dude have such a big scar? Why is this dude always crying? Why is this girl always acting like an airhead? And why is this dude always staring at me? It leaves you wanting more, as our time with all these characters on screen is brief but very meaningful. You know that when Tanjiro gets sent to help a Hashira for his next mission, it's a big deal, and, in my opinion, when Demon Slayer comes into its own. As I mentioned before, the Hashira are all very exaggerated versions of different emotions or character traits. At first, these traits are almost portrayed as comedic, but slowly over time, as we begin to learn about their past and their hardships, you can see how they have been molded into the people that they are today. My favorite example of this is my personal favorite Demon Slayer character so far, Tengen Uzui. When we first meet Uzui, he makes his entrance in the flashiest way possible. At first glance, he is extremely flamboyant and thinks very highly of himself, declaring himself a god to Tanjiro and all of his friends, while calling them trash. He only looks for the exciting things in life, while despising those who choose to stay plain and simple. It may not seem like he cares very much for others, especially since the first time we are properly introduced to him, he tries to carry off a poor little girl to go on a dangerous mission with him. Though under all of his layers and craziness, there is a person who is kind-hearted and considerate to those around him. One that will help any and all in their times of need, doing whatever it takes to keep his loved ones out of harm's way. He does so because of his horrible past of living as a shinobi. From birth, he was trained up to be a living weapon, constantly told that his life does not belong to him, but those who control him. So much so that when he was 10, he was forced to kill his own siblings for training, since as a shinobi, your life is forfeit from the day you were born. He felt unnecessarily guilty over the death of his siblings, eventually leaving the clan. And just like Tanjiro, he set out with nothing left to call his own, but this time with no hope or goal left to strive for, other than longing for the day that he would die and be punished for his sins. It wasn't until he began to accept his wives more into his life did he begin to realize the value of his own. He realized that he doesn't have to live under the control of anybody. Instead, he can simply live for himself and the people around him. This is why he proclaims himself as a god, because he has learned to value his life to the fullest. He teaches the same to other people as well, telling other demon slayers to value their own lives above the mission. The reason he hates plain things and people is because he feels that they are just wasting their life away and not living it to the fullest, the exact thing that Uzui works so hard to escape from. Backstories aren't what make Demon Slayer's overall character writing so great. Anybody can write a sad backstory and just throw it out in front of you. Gotouge instead chooses to slowly pace out information and bits about these characters so we can go from liking them to loving them by the end of the season. Gotouge is so dedicated to this that often characters' full backstories aren't revealed until after their character arc. This is something that, on paper, shouldn't work, but somehow in Demon Slayer it feels just as, if not more impactful. Each and every single one of the Hashira share these capabilities of their character storytelling, but all in their own ways. All of their backstories may be different, but they're all the same as Tanjiro, victims of fate. Victims of events far beyond their control that have thrust them headfirst into the brutal and unforgiving world of Demon Slayer. But instead of lying down and taking it, they get back up no matter how many times they get knocked down. The reason isn't because they hate demons or want to become the strongest in the world. It's because they all care for other people, and to some extent, don't want them to be victims of fate either. A story about spitting at fate right in the face, and saying that you won't be brought down no matter what. Instead, you'll push on to secure a better future for yourself and the ones around you. This is what I feel Demon Slayer is truly about. Or it could just be about the awesome fights. Demon Slayer is the first anime that I have ever watched week to week where I haven't read the manga since, like, Attack on Titan. The reason being, the psychopaths at Ufotable who have the insane talent to produce action this well animated. No knock to the manga at all, but experiencing episode 17 of season 2 for the first time is something that I don't think I'll ever forget in my life. This is what single-handedly made Uzui my favorite character in the series and cemented Demon Slayer as one of the greats in my eyes. I just wish that I had experienced it at the same time as when it came out, so I could be there to feel the hype firsthand. Same goes for the Demon Slayer movie. One of my biggest regrets in life will probably be not watching Demon Slayer early enough to be able to see this movie in theaters. Luckily now I'm caught up, so I can experience season 3 side by side with everybody. I even went and saw the first episode in theaters, but still, I can't help but feel I missed out because I don't think that there will ever be another Demon Slayer again. I don't think that there will ever be another anime movie that becomes the highest grossing movie of the year when it's released, passing Christopher Nolan and Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't think that there will ever be another manga that sells 82 million copies in 1 year, 10 or even 20 times as much as series like Kingdom, One Piece, or Attack on Titan sold. I don't think that there will ever be another series that can capture the same lightning in a bottle as Demon Slayer did. So, I'm very glad to be living during this time, because chances are, Demon Slayer will be remembered a few decades from now in the same vein that something like Dragon Ball is, at least here in the US. So, thank you to Gotouge Koyoharu and Tatsuhiko Katayama for creating a series that can bring everybody together to celebrate, because Demon Slayer is awesome.